Hi, and welcome to Mic Drop Insights and Lessons from CI Thought Leaders. My name is Gary Cox, your host. I'm also the author of the book Cultivating Champions of CI, a leader's toolbox for creating a continuous improvement culture. And in this episode 3 of my time with Sergio D'Amico, Sergio, a longtime employee of Bombardier, was a deployment lead with their management system, and he shares the lessons learned along the way in the deployment at that organization. And lessons that I'm very confident that you're going to be able to learn from as he openly shares what went well and the lessons learned, and if you had a chance to do it again. And in this episode, he finishes with the 3 things that he would absolutely want you to know in deploying a management system. You're not going to want to miss those. This level. Let's talk a little bit about that problem solving
Yeah.
approach, because people often will jump to solutions very quickly, right? So did you use the DMAIC methodology, or did you what what methodology did you use when it came to problem solving?
Oh, that's interesting. DMAIC was a school of thought that was pretty much implemented from when I arrived there. So there was a big Six Sigma drive at the time that was being implemented. So there wasn't really a choice to say we didn't force anyone to choose. Let's say you have to do it DMAIC or any other. That didn't matter as long as we took a methodology. So DMAIC was in place, and when we implemented that management system called Achieving Excellence, we also encourage people to do the simple A3 problem solving. So
Right, right.
as long as people solve problems, that's what we
Mm,
want.
mm.
So the format is not really an issue. It's more of let's solve some problems. And we also went, as I said earlier, with the Kepner-Trego school of thought, also, which is
Very
very
technical.
technical.
Mm.
Yes. So, and still today, I encourage people to just start with a simple format as long as you just get going and learn how to um, do a good problem definition statement. That's a good first start.
That is so critical that I teach that as a fundamental. We spend a lot of time in our training in that whole idea of creating a strong problem definition, because
Yeah.
everybody always says a problem well defined is half solved, right? That's I think the saying. I don't know who said it, but somebody said it, and it's kind of relevant. And so defining your problem is absolute paramount. The other thing about that A3 thinking or problem solving is that it does look for data. So while you're using some essential tools like the 5 why and the fishbone diagram, and the use of potentially a SciPoc, and for those of you who are not familiar with those tools, fishbone diagram is simply a cause and effect diagram. It helps you identify some root cause. 5 whys does a likewise. SciPoc is suppliers, inputs, processes, outputs, and customers. It helps you frame your problem in a bound box, kind of who's giving you what. So those are essential tools, as is data collection. So Sergio, talk a little bit about how data was used in the problem solving methodology.
Okay, depending on the data, anything related to manufacturing, we used the appropriate tools. We had a good metrology system in place also. So we used the data systems that we had already in place. So we didn't need to invest much in the data collection. We also had all the collection related to all the non-conformities on the aircraft, all non-conformances, because in aerospace, non-conformances are by law, they need to be documented. So all the data
Mhm.
was there in the main system. So data was really easy to get. Where it was a little bit more challenging is for those problems that were more, let's say, organizational. So let's
Mm.
say a potential hazards in the offices. That wasn't a discipline. Let's say that problem solving wasn't well established in the office or the management area. So data collecting, we left it at very basic. So they could simply compile as they wish, as long as they discipline themselves in using data that is factual.
Relevant and yes, timely, relevant, and factual. Absolutely. Okay, interesting. So obviously data is also a big part of problem solving. What about the driving of the solutions? Did you gravitate to any particular brainstorming method or method for generating solutions, or what did you do around solutions?
For brainstorming, we left it, let's say, at the choice of the teams. So we weren't strict really. What really we insisted on, and also that I insisted on also afterwards as an instructor, is really problem definition, doing the 5 why, going at the root cause, and also encouraging people to, let's say they have a target to meet. So let's say reduction
Hmm.
of defects by 40%. Well, it's okay if you reach 20%. Okay.
Right.
So
So you used like the term the kata approach, right? You've heard the term kata, the kata
yes, and
approach?
yes, and that was an approach, but we didn't use the word kata
Right, right,
because
right,
we didn't want to overwhelm people. So, but these habits were, let's say, encouraged.
right.
So we did it indirectly, if you want, if I
Mm.
can say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So three big successes that you would say, hey, these are three must-dos, the top three must-dos when it comes to deploying a management system. What would be your top three must-dos?
Well, top three, let's say, um, starting to deployment really one step at a time. So
Hey.
that's very important. There are three, let's say and three type of activities I encourage people to start with, or to get their feet wet in, either especially lean or any management system. The first one, we spoke about it, problem solving. And
Hmm.
that's always the first one I encourage people to start with, because let's say you start with any other aspect of a management system, but there's problems that are pressing. They they will be People will have those problems in back of their mind. So by
Hmm.
starting with problem solving and showing them that it works, then they're going to keep on going. Okay, without
Love
telling
it.
them the whole thing. I was like 20 years ago, the school of thought was teach everything at once, but then it would get lost in, you put
Hmm.
those binders away for a few months and then you forget everything. So the
Right,
best thing
right.
is really start away doing something. So problem solving is the first one. If problem solving is not the choice that an organization or a team doesn't want to start with, the second recommendation is 5S. That's the one, because that's the one that really is the like a cornerstone of, if you
It's a quick
organize.
win, relatively a quick win. It's
Yes,
easy to understand. Most people get it, and you do see some tangible results really quickly from a strong 5S deployment. Absolutely.
yes. It begins really with that discipline, the
Mm.
routine. It sets in the routine, so that's good. I was at this. I thought my school of thought long time ago was begin with the 5S, but that changed when somebody told me no, because sometimes if they tried 5S and it failed, then they'll start with on the wrong, the wrong
Hmm.
way, with that, that an apprehension of starting with 5S. So 5S, that's why I always encourage, first of all, the problem solving.
That's
The
great.
5S is the second option. Now, there's a third way also that I encourage, would be the daily scrums, or daily meetings, as
Mm.
we call it, and that's how we started. Has my director started way back at Bombardier when we started. He said, "Okay, let's start the daily meetings to get our feet wet, even before the training, the official training for the management system started. We got our feet wet with daily meetings. So they weren't structured. We just started one step at a time. We met every day and listed what we had to do. Were there any issues? And if there were issues, well, what can we do to help each other? It wasn't structured. We structured it afterwards. We went through the 5 pillars that we usually go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, let's start today. What we talk about: safety, then quality, then delivery and cost. That was afterwards, and that was really well done. So we didn't overburden the employees. Okay, we just started meeting every day, and we got that habit going, and then we structured it out as we went along. So those are the 3 things I encourage. Those are the 3. And Gary, if they don't want to use any of those 3, then there's not much hope for implementing lean tools and a
Well,
management system.
I think people, the reason I ask you about the top 3 is because I think when people hear the term management system, they think complicated. They think, a lot of electronic connections of, visual screens
Yes,
and so on and so forth. And, and it does not have to be that. Really well done. So again, I've got to give you kudos for your posts. I really enjoyed them. That's what prompted me to reach out to you on LinkedIn.
thank you.
If people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, you're absolutely open to making sure you expand your network. And if they have any questions, they can reach out to you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put your bio and your LinkedIn contact in the description of the videos once they're produced, so that people, if you want to get a hold of Sergio, you can certainly do that through those connections. Any parting words that you want to share with any of the viewers?
I'll use the same parting words as I did with my students when I was teaching about implementing KPIs, about doing process management. Is start small. If you're implementing a management system, it might seem big, but start small. So start with these small problems, and you'll see that it's going to work miracles with all the employees. It will really empower them, and we can see that they achieve their goals and they get empowered by that. They really feel encouraged when they start the 5 whys and they see it works. But give them time. Give them time to learn it, because it could really take time. But start small. Give them a chance to absorb everything in everything. So when they deploy the key performance indicators, when they start something new, give them time to absorb it and learn it and have fun with it.